Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are in a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard? Bruce, can it be? Are you here? Is it real?
Hello, Conrad.
I love you just did the Hello Newman for Hello Conrad. What's going on, man? How are you?
Just great, Conrad.
We were talking off air, Bruce.
How are you?
And you were telling me that you were tired and hurting.
What am I supposed to be? I'm tired, sleepy, and stressed.
Yes. I forget the order, but that's basically it.
Well, you give the goddamn reports on me.
Well, listen, I was recording when we first started talking. I realized we said something that should never get out. I immediately hit stop, deleted all of that, and said, okay, we'll just start this show differently this week.
Fine, Conrad.
I'm glad you're fine, Bruce. We are excited to be back on track.
Are you, Conrad? Why don't you ever talk about you?
Well, because I'm fucking great, man.
Okay, good.
Seriously, even if I wasn't, I wouldn't tell you any differently because you ain't got time to care.
Because you lie.
Well, I lie. No, I'm positive. So here's the thing, right? When people say, how are you, man? There's only two acceptable answers. I think Tom Segura did like a whole bit on this. The answers are great and fine. And if you're terrible, it's fine. You don't fucking tell some fucking stranger all your life's problems, right? That's basically Tom Segura's bit. But I adopted that long before. And so if I'm bad, like if it's a really bad day, how's your day? Unbelievable. It's not technically
I'm
a
just
lie.
Fucking fine. How's that?
Okay. Now you sound like a disgruntled housewife right now. Is that what this is? You're a disgruntled housewife?
Why would I don't understand this analogy.
Well, because here's the deal. You know this. You've been married a long time. When your wife says she's
25 years, it's 25 years this year.
And when she says, we're coming up on that too, by the way. When she says fine, that ain't fine.
Yeah, this is true.
Did Brucey need a little drink of Wawa?
Brucey needs some Wawa. Brucey got Wawa over here. Brucey got Wawa over here. Brucey got canned beverages over here. Brucey got Wawa in here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to January 29th. It's Royal Rumble 1996.
Is it the 29th already?
It is, man. It flies, I tell you. No, serious business. We were supposed to be delivering In Your House 6 today. We're going to push that towards the end of the month. Unfortunately, we're going to be bumping.
Need to manage my time better.
I'm trying, buddy. I got my notes ready for 6 episodes. I'm just waiting on you to carve me off some time. And I'm hoping between you and that walking stick in the back corner, we can work something out.
That should be funny.
Hey, so let's go back to the beginning of 96. Our topic today is Royal Rumble 96. It actually happened on January 21st. So we just passed the 25th anniversary. In Fresno, California, it was a sellout there, 9,600 fans. It's the biggest wrestling crowd yet for that venue, and it sold out several days in advance. The event had the tagline, "Welcome to the Dark Side." I guess that means we're going to double down on Undertaker. We'll find out here in a little bit.
But have you ever been to Fresno, California?
I have not. I've been all over California, but never Fresno.
Well, on the way to Fresno, you go through Gilroy. You know what Gilroy is?
No,
Gilroy is the garlic capital of the world.
I didn't know that.
And you ever see Lost Boys?
Yes.
I think it was up in that area. I don't know if it's in Gilroy or not, but Gilroy is the garlic capital of the world, and the entire fucking place, when you like pull into it, it smells like garlic. It's like you start to smell garlic, and that's all I can ever think of whenever I do the Fresno loop.
So did the Cornets ever vacation there back in the day?
Yeah, doubly.
Well, I thought you told me a story once that maybe he was dating a girl, but it was somebody couldn't be around garlic, right?
Yeah, that was his companion on that one evening.
Oh,
Jimmy loves garlic.
Okay, well, shit, you gotta get hot about it. I didn't know.
Goddamn Godfather's pizza, double cheese, double sausage, double garlic.
That's it. That's it. He ordered a pizza once in like a writing meeting with Vince, and he ordered double garlic, and it grossed Vince out, right?
Well, no, it just was actually when it came, Vince smelled it and goes, "God damn it, that fucking smells great."
Oh.
And Jimmy had it. "You want a piece?" And offered Vince a piece, and Vince picked up the one piece of pizza and was like, "God damn, it was so heavy. It was double cheese and double sausage and double garlic, motherfucker." Vince took one bite and had to he couldn't eat any more of it. Jimmy ate the whole fucking thing.
Well, yeah, because it's fucking good. Shout out to Jimmy for knowing what's good. So the buy rate for this show is the best the company has done since WrestleMania 11, which I guess is maybe not that huge of a surprise. Settle the debate, Bruce. Fans have often debated what's really the number 2 show behind WrestleMania. Is it Royal Rumble or is it SummerSlam? What would you say? Especially in this era, in 96.
In this era, I'd say it was still SummerSlam.
Okay.
But I think it kind of, because of the road to WrestleMania, I think it kind of switched to Royal Rumble.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to argue against that because whenever I have friends who are like casual wrestling fans who want to hit me up to come watch a show, it's always Rumble and Mania. It's never SummerSlam. But anyway, this has done the best buy rate since WrestleMania 11. So it did better than SummerSlam 95, which in hindsight, maybe that's not that big of a surprise, but it's also a sellout. And this is at a time where the business wasn't exactly on fire. So it's good news all around. 250,000 buys for this. It's a big jump from the year prior. That did 205,000 buys. And we're also going to see bigger numbers over the next several months compared to the prior few shows. Some of which are you okay, Bruce?
I'm great. So where does that rank on the, am I okay? How are you doing? I'm great.
Well, I just heard all of the Apple noises in the background, and usually when that happens on JR's podcast.
I fucking had an orange.
So you're eating an orange, and your orange made that noise.
Let's go with that.
I love you, Bruce. Anyway, you should hear. I know you don't have time. You don't even have time to record our podcast, much less.
What the fuck is going on? I got dings and bings and shit. This should all be off.
Your oranges should be off. Was that a navel orange?
Oh, why? God damn it. Okay, great. Yes, I'm sorry.
Tangerine?
Keep going. I'm awesome, man. I'm fucking awesome. Fucking awesome, dude. I couldn't be better.
Are you going to make it to WrestleMania, you think? I'm hoping you make it to SmackDown at this point.
I'm hoping I make it to bed. Fuck. You want to get real? Let's get fucking real. Oh, wait. God damn it. Then I sent the wrong fucking response to the wrong fucking thing.
On your orange?
Well, no, on the computer thing here. What the fuck? I'm waiting. Now I gotta explain that response to the. Oh, Jesus, fuck, man. God damn it.
This is what happens when you multitask, you motherfucker. You should just dedicate an hour to the podcast. Can I get an hour?
Okay.
The fucking Bad Bunny will wait. God damn it.
Don't you fucking goddamn, by God, disparage good goddamn name of Big Buddy.
Oh, I'm not. By the way, I mean, I know we don't talk about current stuff. Congratulations. It's all over the internet. He's blowing up merch sales. So every now and again, you have a good idea up there, huh?
God damn.
Are you drinking out of your wife's?
I'm not even sure who the fuck I sent it to.
This is what happens when you take Benadryl in the middle of the day, guys. The real question, are you drinking out of Amber's cup right now? We're drinking out of a cup that Goldust would have used in 1996.
Yeah. So
I'm just wondering.
Is there something wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just waiting for you to turn it over and it have like an embroidered A or something. It looks like something that you get at like a novelty shop for women and little girls.
So
I was just wondering, is it Amber's?
Ha! Wax, stupid, what do you say?
All right, let me just control alt delete your ass. Hang on. Let me hit your reset button.
She said, not now, boy, but I did anyway, cause I'm ready. What? Yes. What? Go ahead. I'm good.
Do you remember when we had like a real podcast and we could like do a whole topic and it was fun?
Shit, for 6-8 hours and then I'd get hungry.
So let's talk about it.
Talk about it.
The company here, we're in the world of new generation. Shawn Michaels' career had been put in jeopardy, at least in storyline, because of that Owen Hart enziguri kick on that 95 episode of Raw. Of course, Michaels takes the kick, continues to wrestle. And then in storyline, he blacks out. All the officials are scrambling. Vince even leaves commentary to go check on Michaels to help sell the angle. And the weeks after, he's doing interviews talking about not knowing if he could continue. And then eventually they have a press conference in front of a banner of the old Rumble logo. And Shawn announces he's going to disappoint a lot of people. He's returning to action at the 96 Royal Rumble. He's the favorite coming in here. When was the decision made? Hey, we're going with Shawn. That's what it's going to look like.
Once Shawn got cleared and there were, I think initially everybody, at the time it was what's Shawn's physical condition and how's he doing? And Shawn cleared everything with flying colors. So it became, well, hell, then let's make a story out of it now that we know that everything's good. And you look at the charisma, you look at the flamboyance of Shawn, and it was a lot different than Bret.
So to sort of backtrack, I think we've talked about this before. It's not too long after WrestleMania 11 where maybe for months prior, or perhaps even years, anytime you or Pat would try to bring up Shawn as a babyface, Vince would shut it down. And then not too long after WrestleMania 11, he flips out that Shawn's a babyface. Why has no one mentioned this? Right?
Yeah. It took him less than 24 hours to realize that.
So really the motion, or the wheels were put in motion after WrestleMania 11 for Shawn to perhaps be the top guy at 12. As we come in here, we've got another guy who might be a contender for the Royal Rumble win. It's Big Daddy Cool. Just 2 shows ago, we saw his year-long run end to the hands of Bret Hart. Since then, Diesel had started showing a little more attitude, I guess turning into a bit of a tweener. And he's only high-fiving fans who are wearing his black style glove. And at tonight's event, I think might be one of the first times we see a middle finger on WWE programming. You're adding a lot of,
well, intentionally anyway.
Yeah. You're adding a lot of attitude to Diesel here. What can you tell us about this transition point from he dropped the belt, now he's here at the Rumble, and he's a different dude?
I think a lot of it was trying to get to the point of being more real and having a little bit more of an edge, getting Kevin Nash out of, getting a little more Kevin Nash attitude out of Diesel. So Vince was like, why don't you just turn around and fucking flip him the finger? So obviously a lot of people are looking at that, questioning it, based on just our history and trying not to go that far, but there was really no written rule and or unwritten rule that we couldn't do that, and thought, what the hell, man, let's get a little edgy and be a little different.
So let's talk about Diesel for a moment here. At this point, did you know he was leaving, or did you still think he was sticking around here in January 96?
I had a pretty good idea that he was leaving, but I don't think that Vince wanted to believe that yet.
Because Diesel was still saying, I'm staying, right?
Yes.
But you did know that Razor was leaving, or at least talking to WCW, right?
Correct. Yes.
So you're trying two interesting things. I mean, Shawn and Diesel have been attached at the hip for a long time, and they main evented the prior year's WrestleMania. But at the time of that show, Diesel is your white meat babyface. Now we're giving him more of an edge. He's flipping people off. He's sort of marching to the beat of his own drummer. He's a badass. But Shawn Michaels, who had been this cocky, arrogant heel, now we're trying to make him a sympathetic figure. That's sort of babyface 101, right?
Well, I think that Shawn Michaels, the way that he worked throughout his career, was always more of an underdog, working from underneath babyface that was easy, to get that sympathy on Shawn. So that wasn't really a departure for Shawn. It was more going back to, I think, what the majority of the audience could relate to and liked about Shawn was that fighting from underneath spirit.
Something else I want to talk about that happens on this show, the Rumble show. We get the debut of the Headhunters tag team. They come in as the squat team. They come in and basically get their asses kicked by Vader and Yokozuna, and they're eliminated. But they appear again the next night on Raw, but man, they are not long for this world. What can you tell us about the squat team?
God damn. Those are two Dominican guys, right? That look like little baby Abdullahs.
Yes.
Well, if you were ever to meet these two guys, two of the fucking nicest guys you'd ever want to meet in your whole life, they'd give you the shirt off their back. They would do anything for you, and super, super duper fucking great guys. They were from the Dominican. They had worked Puerto Rico for Victor Quinones. I believe they worked for Carlos as well there. Victor used to use them in FMW and get them booked in Mexico. That's where I got to hang around them a lot, was in Mexico and Japan a little bit. But just, they were perfect for the business, but on the nice guy scale, they were way to the right. They were just fucking great guys. So they were the kind of guys that you wanted to give a break to, and you really wanted to help because they wanted it so bad and they really loved the business. And there were places, for example, like Puerto Rico, where it was more of a blood and guts territory. They didn't have to do a whole lot, and they could take some big bumps and things like that. And so we wanted to bring them in because they had a unique look. They're twins.
When you say you wanted to bring them in, I don't mean to cut you off, as just a one-off for the Rumble, was that Victor pushing for it, you looking for new attractions, or were you actively thinking, man, I like these Headhunter dudes?
All the above.
Okay.
And it became, well, let's bring them in for the Royal Rumble. If there's something there, then we could keep them. We could do something else with them. And then, they're here. If they get over, we can use them. And really wanted to do something with them because I thought that they were two guys that had really paid their dues and felt like they had been everywhere else but here. But quickly realized that the formula for their work and what got them over wasn't working, and it was more blood and guts, and it was kind of like Abby. I don't think ever would have gotten over in the WWE. Abdullah the Butcher.
You figured that out in the 24 seconds they were in the match?
Pretty quick, yeah.
I mean, one of the guys is in here 24 seconds, the other 71. So it's hard for me to like really.
Well, when you combine 71 and 41, goddamn, it's more than 2 minutes. Well, hey, Conrad, you sit there and laugh. All right. You can tell a lot by the way a guy walks in the ring.
I'm not arguing that.
And unfortunately, yeah, they were in there pretty quick. But I think that what more solidified it a little more was, the next night I think they tripped on the way to the ring and fell down, and it just wasn't a good look, and wasn't. You only have one opportunity to make a first and second impression. But yeah, it just, their first and second impression was not good on the national stage.
It's written in the Observer, Vader's deal to work the Stockton tapings was put together at the last minute. Originally, he was coming in just for the Rumble. At the Stockton tapings, which we'll talk about after the Rumble, that's when Vader has his big angle with Gorilla Monsoon. Do you remember that being put together at the last minute? I know we've talked about Vader before long term, but it's worth touching on again here.
Yeah, I believe, well, to get him in to the Rumble and finally get the damn deal done, to get him so that we could do something to go to WrestleMania 12. And the idea was to do the big angle with Monsoon, which Monsoon had never been touched really since Gino had made the crossover into commentary and then the president role. So we had come to terms basically with Leon, and I think he and his agent kept dragging their feet until it finally got done.
Chat me up about Vader on Boy Meets World. It airs on January 19th. He's in the Vader character totally. He's the father of a middle school kid who I guess is a bully, named Frankie the Enforcer. And you guys would expand on that Boy Meets World relationship once Vader was with you guys, right?
My good friend Mark Blutman was creator of Boy Meets World, and Mark is a huge listener of this show as well from day one, that liked wrestling, incorporated the Vader character into the show as the father of the one kid on there. And Vader's appearances on there, he did a few, not nearly as good as the Boy Meets World 400-pound men and 16 candles, that also starred one of the most charismatic of all time from WWE, Brother Love, who was play-by-play guy and ring announcer and pretty much stole the show.
Let's get to the Rumble itself. This show gets 41.4% thumbs up.
I didn't have time then to do the Hollywood career and the other thing, so I had to make a choice. They wanted me bad.
41% thumbs down. And
it was gonna be a fat guy joins the world. I don't know, but that guy in white suit, red shirt, joins the fucking world. He loves everybody. Hey, there's a goddamn original fucking gimmick. I'm just telling you, I didn't have time. It's a big whole thing. A lot of people don't talk about it because it was big. It was gonna be real big, Conrad. I'm telling you. Chat me up about this. If you would have fucking goddamn ever seen that, you wouldn't gone back. That's all I'm saying. All right. This is the first time I'm ever letting it be known that there was this huge Hollywood, by God, they were knocking on my door, just whenever I'd order one. But just saying that, yeah, huge plans. Goddamn screenplays and fucking scripts and scrizips and everything. Just like all kinds of scripts were coming my way. Just saying that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? See, that's why you listen to this fucking show, because you hear shit that you never heard before. There.
Okay,
none of that really happened, but could have.
The show gets.
I got residual. This is a true story. This is fucking. I got residuals from fucking Disney for fucking Disney. I got residuals from Disney for, good Lord, maybe 10 years. And at the end, like when you do shit like that, the first couple are decent, but then they get down to like 14 cents.
Yeah.
And then 7 cents. And then that 2 cent one goes on forever. And it costs more money
to mail it,
to send that 2 cent check and that 2-cent check, by the way, will fuck your taxes up.
You've had that happen?
I sure as hell did. I had to get a hold of someone at Disney to beg them, please, what do we have to do? I need to sign off my rights to the residuals going forward. Please take me off of the list of getting these 2-cent checks because it goes into the IRS, and Disney's a huge company, but you're talking about for a year, 9 cents for a year, and they sent me a 1099. And that just fucking throws everything out of whack. 9 cents. I know it sounds crazy. It's like, why are you even reporting 9 cents? Because they sent me a fucking 1099. I kept waiting because I knew the scrizzips were coming in, and that, there would be a lot more than that. And it would maybe get back up to that 42 cent area. I could live with that.
Is that your low-key Michael Hayes impression?
What's that?
You're talking about, I had to make a choice. I don't talk about this very often.
No.
So the Royal Rumble, according to the readers of the Wrestling Observer, 41.4% thumbs up, 41% thumbs down, 17.7% thumbs in the middle. What say you, Bruce? I'm going thumbs in the middle on this one.
I'm going thumbs in the middle too.
The best match poll is super close. It's Goldust and Razor Ramon, followed by the Royal Rumble match, and then Bret Hart and Undertaker. Lots of good matches on this one, Bruce.
I thought so. I thought that everything on there was pretty decent.
Let's talk about the undercard here. There is a pre-show match where the winner gets to come in at the number 30 spot, and the loser has to be the first one in. So who do you think's in the match? How about Duke the Dumpster Drose and Hunter Hearst Helmsley? That's right. The Garbage Man is working with Triple H, and the Garbage Man wins. So he's coming in at number 30. Hunter's coming in at number 1. It's a DQ finish, goes 6 minutes and 25 seconds. There's a ref bump. Helmsley's going to use the Nux. Gorilla Monsoon's going to come in, reverse the decision. Half a star. Of course, we know, even though this seems
taking place in the Tokyo Dome, would have been 9.
Come on, man.
What? I thought that's where you were going. I was trying to finish your thought because, see, like you and me were connected here telepalep and the method mentally.
We used to be. These days, I don't hurt when you hurt. You have to call and tell me about it.
It's fucked up.
So here's the thing. Normally you would think, well, Duke beating Hunter. What's up with that? But this means Hunter gets to come on at number 1. He puts on the longest performance of the night in the Rumble. Of course, Duke's only in there for a few minutes worth. I guess, in kayfabe land, coming in at number 30 is the most valuable spot, but in reality, staying in there and proving that you're one of the Iron Men, that's probably where you want to be if you're trying to become a breakout star, right?
Well, that depends on if you can last that damn long.
Sure.
It's a long time to be in there. So yeah, it's you make it whatever you can make out of it. So
the idea being, I think everybody knows by now, King of the Ring 96 was supposed to be Hunter. So if he would have had a hell of a performance here in January, maybe that makes sense that by June, okay, let's keep that progression going. Let's also talk about the first match here on the card. The rivalry for this one actually began at the last In Your House show. There we saw Ahmed Johnson make short work of your boy, the Nature Boy, Buddy Landell. But then he's attacked by Jerry Lawler and a returning Jeff Jarrett. Jarrett hits Ahmed literally in the face with a chair, which looked brutal. And now we've got a match. It's Ahmed Johnson and Jeff Jarrett. They're going to go 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Ahmed gets the win by DQ. Meltzer would say Johnson is really green, and the transitions from spot to spot were weak. I had the pleasure of watching wrestling once with Sean Waltman, and he was explaining to me that what made a great wrestler wasn't necessarily doing the moves. It's all the stuff in between the moves. Right, Bruce?
It depends. Yeah, it really depends on, but you have to, Pat Patterson, everybody talks about Pat Patterson being this great mind for the business, coming up with terrific finishes. What made Pat Patterson so great to me is Pat didn't just think about the finish. Pat would lay out a finish and lay everything out for you. And then he would ask you what some people would consider a simple question. But one of the most difficult questions in reality is, what are you going to do to get there? What do you do before you go into the finish? Which a lot of times guys, we'll get there. But getting into it is as important as it. You have a beginning, you have a middle, and an end. And a lot of guys disregard the middle. A lot of guys disregard the start of a match and only think, here we go. Well, we've got the finish. Pat was beautiful in being able to help guys do that transition from the body of the match, how you go now, what's that transition into the finish, and make it all make sense. So that's what made a beautiful worker to me.
Let's talk about the match itself here with Ahmed.
Do we have to?
Yeah. And listen, it's not bad. Come on now. I think the match is kind of okay because you get to see some interesting stuff. Ahmed jumps over the top rope, crashes into the guardrail. He does a full somersault splash off the top rope and misses. Eventually the finish comes when Jarrett comes in with a guitar and comes off the top rope and smashes it over Ahmed's head. Of course, that's the DQ, but the guitar shot sounds great. And Ahmed just kneels over from the shot, which is pretty impressive. They're just trying to put over how dominant he is. But Meltzer would say, Jarrett tried to carry it, but it's hard when nobody buys Johnson being in trouble because he's so physically impressive and he doesn't know how to sell to overcome his impressive size. But you really did sort of get Ahmed Johnson over here as a monster. So I say mission accomplished. What'd you think?
Well, I didn't think it was great. I just thought that it was okay in that it's so hard in any time that you only have one guy in the ring that's really working to make a match. And it becomes obvious that Jeff was trying so hard to get this guy over, and then it was what it was. And that's true. Ahmed was so impressive. It was difficult for anyone to ever feel sorry for him in any way. So it made it more difficult to get heat on the guy. And Jeff's working all around him, trying everything that he can, but you can only do so much. I think that in a lot of ways, Ahmed made it very difficult. Tony Atlas was a big guy, and Tony could make you feel and could sell in a way that was believable, that the audience wanted to help Tony, man. They wanted to be there for Tony. And Ahmed, it was almost like, he's got it. If he doesn't, well, he should. Look at this son of a bitch. He doesn't sell anything else. So and again, I'm being really, really critical of it. I just, I thought it was one guy in the ring working his ass off and the other guy just doing a bunch of shit to let everybody know that he was Superman.
Well, it just feels like that's the way it was supposed to happen. I guess if these guys just called it in the ring and did their own thing, maybe that's different, but I just assumed that somebody said, okay, here's what we're doing. Ahmed Johnson's a pretty polarizing figure. Recently, JR revealed that nobody in the locker room liked working with Ahmed. He didn't exactly have the respect of his peers. Would you agree with that?
I would agree that, yeah. I don't know about respect, but they didn't like working with him.
Yeah.
Because he was stiff. And I think that Ahmed also had a bit of an attitude and a feeling that he was already over and should have been the top guy without ever having come in and done the work and gotten to the point where the audience got him over and the audience wanted him to be the top guy. So while we wanted him to be a top guy and we wanted him quite possibly if he could get there, be the top guy, I don't know that he ever reached it, but in Ahmed's mind, he was already there.
What did you think of the dive over the top rope? He crashes and burns. It's pretty scary looking. It's a lot like the Undertaker at WrestleMania when he went over the top rope and just went straight down. This shows me that Ahmed is not just reckless with everybody else. He just doesn't know yet what he can or can't do. It's like, What's that saying in the group chat? He doesn't know how strong he is, right?
Not a clue.
Yeah.
And we just call that cock strong.
Yeah.
Because he just was so fucking strong that he would catapult himself. And look, Ahmed didn't discriminate. He would hurt himself as much as he would hurt other people.
Let's talk about that for a minute. I know, or I shouldn't say I know. I think I've heard that Bill Watts was really high on him. Was Vince as high on Ahmed that he think he had as much of an upside, or maybe not so much?
Look, we were all high on Ahmed. We all thought that there was a lot of potential there and that we could get there with Ahmed, but you needed the commitment from Ahmed to do whatever it took to get to that place. And I don't know that we were really seeing that commitment from Ahmed. Look, we all wanted him to make it. Good Lord, man. He had charisma and a look that doesn't grow on trees, but there was an unspoken animal charisma about Ahmed Johnson that you looked at him and, brother, you believed.
Yeah.
And that was something you can't teach.
Next up, we get the thriving tag team division of the World Wrestling Federation, along with Sunny. She's managing her new tag team, the Body Donnas. Previously, it had just been Sunny and Skip, but now he's got a tag team partner named Zip. So it's Skip and Zip. But following Skip's losing program with Barry Horowitz, it's pretty much impossible for him to be programmed in singles and taken seriously, right?
Well, he needed a great tag team partner.
Yes, he did. He got one. We know who that is. It's Dr. Tom Pritchard, or as you call him, Dr. John Richards.
Yes.
Smoking Guns here are going to be able to retain the tag team titles. They beat the Body Donnas. Great little subplot storyline here. I guess the idea is Sunny's trying to use her wares to distract and lure Kip Sop onto the dark side, the famous Billy Gunn. Meltzer would say everyone worked hard, but the match didn't come together. Since it was similar to a lucha match with lots of choreographed spots, it was the quality of a first or second match with young but hardworking guys who gave you a few great high spots, but overall the match is just okay. After the Body Donnas gave a double slingshot to Billy in the ring, they tried the same with Bart, who reversed it. They were both slingshotted to the floor. They try some more kind of big spots here, but there's one moment in here that felt a little Attitude Era-ish. Sunny's wearing a short skirt. The camera's practically right up her butt. She takes a big bump off the apron, and it feels like we're getting delayed shots of her. Sunny is going to be, in this calendar year, the most downloaded person on AOL, which is, obviously the infancy of the internet, but still quite the honor. You guys knew you had something special in Sunny, just based on the way you would open the show, the way she was selling merch, and she could actually do her job around the ring, right?
Well, going back to, that charisma and that unspoken, whatever it is, Sunny had it. And yeah. Sunny was charismatic and was able to turn that charisma into people really wanting to see her. And it was during the time of the internet where you could pretty much pull up and see anything that you wanted to see by just going to your computer screen in the privacy of your own home. Sunny was a beautiful young woman that was downloaded more time. I think Cindy Margolis was the only other one that even came close to Sunny during that year, but Sunny was number one on AOL. And it was, holy shit, man. She was everywhere. So yes, we had a beautiful young woman that people really enjoyed, whether you liked her or hated her. They wanted to look at her.
Let's talk about the finish. Billy uses a leg drop off the top on Zip, but Sunny is distracting the ref, so no fall is counted. Eventually, both Body Donnas go for the double suplex on Bart, but as he's in the air, Billy tackles them both, and Bart falls on Zip for the pin. 2 stars. So there you go. The Smoking Guns win. What did you think of this one, watching it back?
I thought it was fun, again, speaking of someone that doesn't know their own strength, Billy Gunn, holy shit. He's another one that is deceptively very, very strong. And I don't think that Billy had any clue just how strong he was and how hard that he was throwing people across the ring and throwing them damn punches sometimes. But I thought that the match was damn good and an awful lot of fun. And at this point in time in the Guns career, I thought it was one of the best matches that they had the opportunity to have.
Let's talk about Dr. Tom for a minute here. It's in the newsletter that the company had to change his Body Donna name because of a copyright issue. Originally he was going to be Flip, but it's changed to Zip because apparently there was a Skip and Flip from some 60s singing duo. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay. You got to get home.
I remember talking about, Skip and Flip, and we talked about Flip Wilson. You remember Flip Wilson?
Yeah, of course.
And Geraldine? Yeah, that was great. But we ended up on Zip. I don't recall that. No.
Well, up next, it's the return of Dustin Runnels to the Royal Rumble. The last time we saw him was 5 years prior, last week's episode, the 1991 Royal Rumble. There he was teaming with his dad, Dusty Rhodes, as Dustin Rhodes. Tonight he's back, but not as Dustin Rhodes, as Goldust. It's been an interesting debut for Goldust too. He began this program with Razor in the last In Your House event, sending him a love letter that got Razor super angry. And the announcers tried to get Razor.
You're going to say you got him super aroused. Anyway.
Well, I wasn't there. You were. Do you want to explain?
No, I just thought that was another one where I was trying to read your mind and go ahead.
Okay.
I should just stop reading.
The announcers try to get Razor to read the letter on Raw, but he doesn't want to do it. And they toy around with the idea of going further and further into the weeds of this gay aspect of the character. But I guess the company seems to back off it significantly here because we get the addition of a female valet. Now, we had also seen where he had drawn Razor in a heart on his chest. So he unzipped his suit, reveals a heart drawn on his chest and the word Razor inside the heart. But you back off it a little bit because we have a very nicely dressed woman smoking a cigar and using a director's chair. I like the presentation when we add Marlena here. What was the thinking in adding her at this point?
Well, again, Goldust was not gay nor presented as gay. He was androgynous. Pretty simple shit. And he would use sexuality to either fuck with people's minds or what have you, make you think one thing while he was really thinking something else. The combination of Goldust with Marlena was, first of all, they were married, so they already had chemistry, and it was a nice dichotomy. It was just complete opposites when you look at it. Opposite, but yet the fucking same. She's all dressed in gold and beautiful golden tan, smoking a cigar. And here's this guy dressed from head to toe in gold. And it was all about Goldust. And Marlena Dietrich was, this great Hollywood legend that liked the name. And hence Marlena was born.
Let's talk a little bit about the match itself. This is a different era. But boy, when you listen to this back on the network, you can hear it. And fans are chanting some pretty ugly things at Goldust. In hindsight, do you wish you had some of this Goldust stuff to take back and maybe that wouldn't have happened? Or was the juice worth the squeeze because you told such a great story and he was an interesting character?
Well, I think that Goldust was an interesting character, and I think that sometimes that the audience is going to do what the audience is going to do.
That's fair.
What's that?
I said that's fair.
Yeah, and so you look at it and you weigh that. The story was solid, and the story was something that was very provocative for the time, and the audience went one way with it, and you could try and pull them back a little bit, but it wasn't. You didn't go down what I think a lot of people, thought we were going. We wanted to be provocative and have people wondering what the hell have they got up their sleeves? What the hell are they doing now?
Let's also talk about the fact that on commentary here, Vince McMahon starts to tone it down a little bit, according to the Observer. Quote, McMahon totally toned down the gay inferences on the commentary, but Perfect more than made up for it, although it appeared McMahon wasn't happy that he did. Fast forward a bit. At this point in the match, Marlena faked that she twisted her ankle, distracting the ref, allowing the 1-2-3 Kid to come out and use a spin kick off the top rope on Ramon, and Goldust got the pin, 2 3/4 stars. There's been a lot written and discussed about Razor being unhappy with this. Meltzer would even say, Razor Ramon is complaining long and loud about his program with Goldust. The baby faces in the Kliq hate the gimmick and unfortunately have taken it out on Dustin Rhodes, the person, rather than accepting him as someone saddled with a bad gimmick who's just trying to do his job. Granted, the angle is really lame. Ramon is trying to get the program switched to working with Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Do you remember Razor trying to get it switched to Hunter Hearst Helmsley? We'll work backwards.
I know Razor hated it. Razor definitely didn't want to do it, but let's unpack some of the things that the expert that every booker in the world takes advice from, Dave Meltzer, because he's the only guy that has a proven track record of actually drawing money and running a promote. Oh, wait a minute. Anyway, Dustin Rhodes saddled with a bad gimmick. Boy, that really, Dustin Rhodes was coming off such of a hot run as Dustin Rhodes and was saddled with a horrible gimmick that spanned 20 years or more, and actually gave him a hell of a run and a hell of a gimmick, I would argue. But this coming from the expert in the business, because he's booked and drawn so much money in his lifetime, speaking to what bad and good gimmicks are.
Are you done?
Yeah.
So if Razor didn't want to work with Goldust, is having 1-2-3 Kid come in and do the fuck finish like this, is that a compromise? That way you still get Goldust over, but Razor doesn't technically have to put him over. He's putting over Waltman.
No, I think, and here's the crazy thing about it. And again, the way that I remember it, Razor didn't want to work with the character Goldust. He didn't like and I don't remember them. I think it was hard on Dustin just in general, because I think Dustin took it personally. I don't believe that Razor ever, got to the point, fuck, I don't want to work with Dustin Rhodes. I don't think that was ever it. It was that Razor didn't want to work with the Goldust character. Plus Razor knew he was leaving. When Razor got in the ring and worked with Goldust, I thought they had great fucking matches, and they were able to deliver every time that you put them in that role to deliver. It was two professionals that were able to go out there and make music. One of them reluctantly wanting to do it, but when it was time to go do his job, he did.
I just think it's interesting because sometimes we poke holes in all the Kliq stuff and we say, oh, that's just the internet, or, oh, that's just disgruntled guys on shoot interviews. But we've got one guy going to win the Rumble. Another guy's going to start to tween a little bit. He's with the Undertaker, going to flip off the middle finger. We got another guy coming in at number 1, going to put on quite a show. We got another guy who's going to lose to Goldust, but he doesn't really want to. So he has his other buddy, also another member of the Kliq, come in and cause the DQ. And he's really trying to get that switched. I don't want to work with this guy. Let me work with the guy coming in at number 1. The Kliq is a thing here, whether we want to say they're not powerful.
The Kliq is a thing, but again, you're taking coincidence. You're taking, again, you're talking about 4 of the most talented and top guys that were in the company at the time. So not to utilize them in that. So it's basically, okay, well, these guys are all friends and they're top guys. Don't use them because they're friends outside of it and they're cliquish outside of it. That's not good business.
Let's pivot a little bit. How much do you think? Was it all money? Is that the primary motivation that makes Scott Hall want to go work for WCW, or does this Goldust angle help contribute a little bit with his unhappiness, do you think?
I think Scott Hall's unhappiness was as basic as the money and the schedule.
Another thing in the Observer I wanted to bring up, quote, despite the similarities of it with other SMW segments, the Goldust Razor Brawl was choreographed by Bruce Pritchard and not Jim Cornette. What can you tell us about that?
The brawl that we did in Bangor, Maine to get to this?
I believe like it would have been backstage, and there was a, yeah. Mike Chioda broke them apart and they threw him into a guardrail, that whole deal.
Yeah.
That was you?
That was me. Yeah.
I guess my question is, I don't know. I just never imagined that you were the guy. I thought you were doing vignettes, and obviously you're writing storylines and all that. I didn't imagine that you're actually setting up the scenes like that. I just assumed that would have been a quote unquote agent, but that wasn't the case here.
Well, I mean, I've done pretty much everything, and
I'm not saying you're not qualified to do it. I'm just saying in my head, you would have handed somebody the idea and said, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. And y'all work with Michael and figure it out, or y'all work with whoever the other agents were, Strongbow, whatever the fuck, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I did both. I mean, I'd work with other agents. I'd set stuff up, whatever it took. So this happened to be one that we were there. There were very few of us, and knocked it out. So it was a TV deal, and it was something that I was specifically wanted in a certain way. So, a lot of times it's you'll have someone there that's to set up the match or set up the angle, but usually one of us would be there that's walking through it and letting everybody know, here's what we're going to do, and maybe the agent or whatever will help you get there in a more logical way or something like that. But this was more a case of I was the one there to shoot it. So here, guys, this is what we're going to do.
Let's keep rolling here. Let's talk about the Rumble match itself. We're not closing the show with the Rumble. We're closing with the championship. Man, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in this Rumble. And I got to tell you, I didn't remember half of the participants that were sort of surprises ever even being in a Rumble until I watched it back. But we got Hunter Hearst Helmsley coming in number 1. Henry O'Godwin comes in number 2. Backlund 3. Jerry Lawler comes in number 4. Lawler stays a long time too, 36 minutes and 2 seconds. It feels like a lot of times Lawler's in-ring stuff was almost dismissed once his feud with Bret was over, at least in my opinion. But he's here for over half an hour. Were you guys thinking about maybe doing something different, or was just, it is what it is. We know he can do it. So go have fun.
Well, he wasn't in it the whole time either, and he was able to hide under the ring, and it was a good story that the King was trying to outsmart people and, get in and out and be seen. And I just thought it was a good story for Jerry, and it was a little bit of a let up in the Rumble itself.
It's great let up, but I guess normally when you see somebody do that, and again, I know we don't talk about current stuff, but we just saw Randy Orton do something like that in the more recent Rumble, but that usually means, hey, they're going to do something moving up the card. And it feels like he's mostly going to be an announcer after this, but it is really well done.
He's Jerry Lawler.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. I mean, one of the all-time greats on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore. Next up, Bob Holly. He gets in there for 39 minutes and 35 seconds. King Mabel is out next, then Jake Roberts. And then check this one out. Dory Funk Jr. He's in there 10 minutes and 53 seconds. You've often talked about him as being one of your all-time favorites. Is Dory being in this Rumble a Bruce call?
I think I did make the call, as a matter of fact, to Dory. And it was during a time that we would often reach out to some old timers and guys who had never competed. Junior, of course, had competed previously as Hoss Funk in the WWF at the time. But Junior was someone that, why not? He was out there with a little bit of nostalgia, and I got to see my hero in the Royal Rumble.
That's pretty cool. let's talk about the next person in the ring here. It's Yokozuna, and he's going to go 19 minutes and 14 seconds. Then the 1-2-3 Kid comes out, and then we get a Japanese competitor, and boy, I'm going to butcher his name, Omori. How does this come to be? I don't remember us ever even having a conversation about him being in the Rumble here.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else has ever had a conversation about him being in the Rumble either. I think this was one of those, JJ Dillon during a time that we were, I don't know that we had gotten to the point of Tenryu's company yet, but JJ, often working with Sato and trying to work with different
promotions,
folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for all I know, it also could have been Dory Jr. saying, hey, we got this guy from All Japan, but, it was, nobody else really remembers. I sure as hell didn't. I was like, what the fuck?
He's only in there for 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Hunter and Jake eliminate him. He had 0 eliminations. Oh, I guess we should mention Dory Funk Jr. also had 0 eliminations, but he's in there nearly 11 minutes, 10 minutes and 53 seconds. After him, it's Savio Vega and then Vader. Vader has 4 eliminations in just 11 minutes, but then 3 in a row that are kind of interesting. Doug Gilbert is 0, eliminations. He's in there just under 3 minutes. But you talk about a Memphis staple, Doug Gilbert. How in the world does he get the nod?
Well, Doug and I were friends. Doug had the brother of Eddie Gilbert. Doug was, good Lord, obviously much younger at the time. And I had worked with Doug while I was at the Global Wrestling Federation when Eddie was booking there. So it was, hey man, we were often looking for different names and people. The independent scene, it was a little bit different then. It was promotions in the South, and Doug was working in Tennessee at the time. People go, what the fuck? Doug Gilbert. And I didn't think that Doug would embarrass himself or me or anybody else, and thought it was, why not?
Is this before or after he went way off script on Memphis TV? This has to be before.
Oh, right? This was way before. Yes,
man, that was something else. Okay. So let's keep it going here. Talk about who's next, because we've already touched on them a little bit, but I do think it's worth mentioning again. We get Headhunter number 1 and Headhunter number 2. I guess we're calling them Squatter 1 and Squat Teamer 2, Squat Team. What did you call them, Bruce?
I call them damn Headhunters.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody does. By the way, as we mentioned, they're not in there very long. 171 seconds. Once 24 seconds. Then Owen Hart.
Combined.
That's like 7 minutes.
2 fucking minutes, man.
Yeah. Owen Hart's in there next.
Get into the seconds, that is, because that's in the fucking 3 digits.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Owen Hart goes 20 minutes, 43 seconds. And then Shawn Michaels. He's ultimately going to win, as we know. He's in there 26 minutes total. He has 8 eliminations, which is the most of anyone. Although Hunter is actually the Iron Man and he lasts longer than anyone. Kushi is next. He's only in there for 153. And then Tatanka, Tatanka. He wrestles his last match for the company on TV, March 19th, 1996. You want to tell us about, Tatanka?
I love Tatanka. I thought it was, I thought he had a hell of a little run there. And,
No. You've teased the story a few times where there was this big discussion about bringing Tatanka back. That was years later.
Oh God.
And you're like, no. It's a whole story. So not today.
Oh goddamn. Yeah, no, no,
okay.
Probably not. I don't know if I could ever tell that story, but that was,
We'll just tell it when you get fired again.
No, because it would be, I think that it's the folks that were represented in that story, do not represent the people they were representing, if that makes any sense at all.
I understand.
And the Native American people that have worked so hard, and, when you look at it, that somebody came over here and basically stole their land and took it from them. As JBL said, with a bag of beads and some pot. It's like, come on, man. And it was a shame some of the people that we worked with at the time, because that presented themselves as something that they weren't. And that's all. It just I have so much respect. Jerry Briscoe's a Native American, and Gerald is so proud, and it's one of those that you don't want to touch. And it was like, God damn, man, it was craziness. But not during this time. I love Tatanka. I love Tatanka then too.
And now you love Tatanka then, now, forever.
Actually, I did. I saw him recently, gave him a big hug. It hadn't changed a bit.
Next up, a guy who has changed a little bit, Aldo Montoya. How about this? He won't be for long. 1 minute and 52 seconds, 0 eliminations. Then Diesel, Big Daddy Cool, comes in at number 22. He's in for 17:51 with 5 eliminations. Kama is in after him. He's also in for 15.
Wait a minute. How did you know that it was Big Daddy Cool time to come out, Diesel? Because
tell me about
big horn, right?
I love you for that.
It was an opportunity. It was there. I've been trying to figure out a way without doing it, hitting the button, fucking that up again. You know me and technology.
Tell me about Kama. He leaves after this match. I've always thought this is sort of an interesting story. He's taken off television in the fall of 95. And after an appearance here at the 96 Rumble, he's gone. And shortly after leaving, according to the rumor and innuendo, he had a verbal contract, or he verbally agreed to join WCW as the enforcer for the NWO, but then never hears from him again, and then sees, wait a minute, Virgil's there. And it's not too terribly long, and he's back with you guys in 1997. I think the original plan was for him to be Papa Shango, but then they decide we're going to have him join the Nation of Domination. But this is it for him. And in this era, he's working the Supreme Fighting Machine look. And this is also a time when Ultimate Fighting and MMA and no holds barred is like a buzzword. Chat me up about what happened with him and why he was gone after the company, or from the company, after this show.
The gimmick, the Supreme Fighting Machine, it just didn't work. I don't know if people didn't believe it. It just didn't click. It didn't work. And, nobody bought it. It just wasn't a good gimmick, in my opinion, for him. And I was prejudiced. And here's the funny thing, man. I never, with the exception, very, very little, I didn't get to work with Papa Shango that much. That Papa Shango run was after I'd left the company. But I was always just amazed at the Papa Shango gimmick. And I thought there was so much more to that, that they could have done with Papa Shango, the gimmick. I would have gone a lot further than they went, just saying. And I just was always intrigued by that gimmick.
Next up, we've got the Ringmaster. That's right. Stone Cold Steve Austin has his first Rumble. Of course, the following year, he's going to set the woods on fire, win the damn thing. But this is his first appearance. Here he's using the Ringmaster. He's got the blonde hair. He's a ring technician. He's a part of $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase's stable. And you even hear Vince McMahon call him Steve Austin, known as the Ringmaster. And Meltzer would say it was amazing to see the physical difference in Austin compared with just a few weeks ago in ECW. And I'm sure Dave has some inference there. Maybe I shouldn't say I'm sure. It reads like he does. But I think it's understood that A, ECW was using tapes, and B, you're damn right. When you're going to make a big shot on a big pay-per-view for the big company, you're not going out there soft if you can help it. You're going to do everything you can to dial it in, right?
Well, I thought Steve came in great shape and looked tremendous. I don't know what Dave's referring to, maybe in his lifestyle. I don't know.
No, he's saying the same thing you are. He's just saying he didn't look that way anyway. Barry Horowitz is out next. That's where we are in the WWE here. Barry Horowitz is number 25.
Barry was fucking over.
I'm not arguing that. He just beat Skip.
That's right.
Next up is Fatu. And then your boy, Isaac Yankem, DDS. He's in at number 27. Boy, there's some regrettable shit in here. Next up is Marty Jannetty. He's only here for 2 minutes and 35 seconds before the Bulldog dumps him out. Speaking of the Bulldog, he's in next at number 29. And last is Duke the Dumpster Drose. And he's in for 1 minute and 10 seconds. Somebody else I want to mention, King Mabel. He's gone until 1998 after this show. Why was it time for Mabel to go learn a new hold after this show?
I think it was just time. I think that we had done everything at that point that we could do with Mabel. And in addition to that, you know, some of the injuries that were, you know, caused with Mabel being on the other end that probably hastened that decision a little bit. And yeah, it was just time more than anything.
We haven't talked a lot about the commentary on this show, but the interviewers here are Doc Hendricks and Todd Pettengill. The ring announcer, of course, is Howard Finkel, but on commentary, it's Vince McMahon and Mr. Perfect. How'd you think Perfect did as a companion for Vince?
In the early years, I thought Perfect was great on color commentary. And when we brought Kurt back, I think that, I don't know. I just don't think that Kurt was there, as good as he was in the earlier years doing color. I don't know if it was because, well, he'd had another run in the ring and now he's back commentary. There were just a lot of factors that were going on, and the Mr. Perfect that had done the commentary originally when he came in the first time, I just thought he was much better at that time.
Let's talk a little bit about Steve Austin again, and then we'll get into the finals of the match. But there's rumor and innuendo out there that Steve Austin was accidentally eliminated. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but he's supposedly accidentally eliminated because he slips on the rope and falls out while he's doing a spot with Fatu. So he's legitimately out, but he was supposed to be in the final four. Do you believe that to be the truth?
That could happen. I really don't. I don't remember that specifically, but I could definitely see it happening. Yes, I always liked it when guys would say, "Why the fuck did you get it wasn't your time to get eliminated?" Well, the guy threw me out.
Yeah,
motherfucker. When you're supposed to go out. So I really don't recall on that one. I don't remember that.
Well, we know the circumstance that happens in 2005 with Cena and Batista, right? But in that instance where someone is accidentally eliminated and it was supposed to be part of something that was in the plans, would there have been panic backstage, or does someone on a headset just send in word to a referee and an IFB and they communicate it to the boys and call an audible? Or is it up to the boys?
Yeah, we didn't have IFBs in at that point. It's figured out.
There you go. So here's the finish. Owen Hart, after being eliminated, came back out to attack Shawn Michaels, and at 58:03, Michaels drop kicks, yank him out. At 58:11, Diesel and Kama throw out Duke. And, now we're down to Diesel, Michaels, Kama, and Davey Boy. Michaels is going to clothesline Davey Boy over the top rope at 58:32, followed by Diesel throwing out Kama at 58:45. And then finally, Michaels would super kick Diesel over the top in 58:49. And after the match, they tease that Diesel is going to attack Shawn, but instead they do their high five routine. Meltzer gave it 2.5 stars. So these guys main evented WrestleMania. One's now a good guy. One's about to be a bad guy, certainly showing shades of that. But instead of teasing it, they let the fans know, nope, we're still boys. High five. In hindsight, was that the right play, or should we have let the tension build, do you think?
Oh, we got to the tension. And at that time, when everybody thinks that you're going one way, you go someplace else.
Okay.
And I thought it was a nice little thing, because I thought everybody in the arena and at home were thinking, okay, here comes the attack.
So at this point, you already had, I guess that's where I was going. Royal Rumble in your house, WrestleMania, and we know at WrestleMania, Shawn's becoming the new champ. So on the next In Your House, it's going to be Shawn and Diesel. You already had that mapped out here at the Rumble, right?
In our head, yeah.
So it's the Kliq show, as we said. Shawn Michaels has the most eliminations. He has 8.
It's a talent that you have that's over on the show.
The second most eliminations is Diesel. He's got 5. The longest time spent in the Rumble is Hunter Hearst Helmsley, 48:04. Following Shawn's victory, this is the big thing that people still talk about to this day. He starts stripping to the point where it feels like, we're getting kind of low with them britches. And he looks at Vince and eventually pulls him back up. I mean, he's showing the world his pubes here a little bit. This is a little weird. What was your reaction?
You've shown the world your pubes before.
I mean, I think you said Cornette did at a show in Detroit, but I wasn't there.
Show more than his pubes.
Chat me up. What are you thinking? I assume you're in Gorilla for this show.
Probably, yeah.
When you see Shawn doing a striptease and taking it this far, are you like talking to Vince? Like, what the fuck is he doing?
No, I had no, there was never anyone that sat there and go, oh my God, he's going to expose himself. He's going to take it as far as he can go and then tease it.
I guess my question is, if he's going to be your top guy in your baby face, this just makes guys hate him, right? I mean, I know the girls love him. I'm not arguing that, but I mean, come on, man. This is how guys hate him, right?
You liked him.
No, I wasn't even watching wrestling here. Stupid ass Stan, who helps us with research sometimes, he loved him.
Well, there you go.
Okay, let's get going to our world title match. Undertaker has been named the #1 contender at the last month's In Your House. It caused a major backstage stare down between Diesel and the Undertaker. Tensions were already high. And then before the match, Diesel, who's leaving the Rumble, meets the Undertaker in the aisle, and Diesel shoves Paul Bearer, which causes the two to square off, and officials pull them apart. It pretty much gave away the finish, I guess, but dude, this was awesome. Like, I don't know why we haven't seen more of this, but one guy coming from the back and the other guy, I like that. That's a really cool little subtle thing that makes sense, right?
Yeah, it did. And I thought it was natural and felt good.
Let's talk about our main event. Boy, it's going to be a barn burner. I really like this match. I know that Meltzer didn't love it. He didn't really like the finish. He gave it 2 3/4 stars. But I don't think Undertaker and Bret ever had a bad match. Bret was just phenomenal here. They go 28-31. Undertaker gets the win by DQ. Undertaker's dominating early, but Bret's pulling out all the stops. Eventually, of course, there is going to be some interference and whatnot. I should mention too, Bear's holding up the new urn, supposedly for melting down Kama's chains, which is a little fun. And to my surprise, Undertaker even gets a few boos, which I was kind of shocked at. Meltzer would say at some point the match started to drag a little bit, and eventually, as you know, Diesel's going to come out, grab the ref. It looks like it's over, by the way. The Undertaker makes a comeback, hits the tombstone pile driver. The ref's about to count 3. Diesel grabs the ref, throws him out of the ring. The ref calls for a DQ. And Meltzer would say the match was dull in spots, but had excellent psychology and built into a good match, but the horrible finish just killed it. I kind of like the idea of them building towards Diesel Undertaker, but I understand as a purist, you know, oh man, I paid $30. I want to finish, but the match was good enough. I forgave it. What say you?
I love the whole thing, the whole story, because you started off with the little Undertaker Diesel confrontation with shoving Pooh Bear, and end up with Diesel come back and basically giving him fuck you to Undertaker. It was, I thought, wonderfully told. And you saw what Bret had to do. Still, I thought, still, did the crowd turn on Bret a little bit? Sure they did, because Undertaker was as popular as Undertaker was, and it's kind of hard to be a babyface against the Undertaker, especially during this time. So the finish made a shitload of sense. It's Diesel fucking shit up because he's pissed off. And that was the story.
Let's remind everybody at this point, we've traded stolen title chances. So the idea here is Diesel and Undertaker have both cost each other a title win, building to their WrestleMania encounter. After the show, there's a series of interviews with Diesel, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Vader, and Diesel's doing the Ric Flair, saying that fans learn to love me because I'm the best thing going today. And in the background, you could hear people clapping and saying woo. But the idea is he's a tweener, and maybe he borrowed a line. But all of that combined with the middle finger, this might be the coolest the Diesel character ever was, right?
Absolutely. And it was that edge that people were able to, I think that in many ways, goddamn, he was more babyface than anything here. Yes, it was, oh my God, it's a heel thing because he's going against the Undertaker and all this other shit. There wasn't anything he said and or did that wasn't justified and true.
Meltzer would say, coming off the big ratings loss the previous Monday, a lot of people seemed to expect an inspired effort across the board out of the Rumble, while the results of the three key matches were largely predictable going in, with the possible exception of the Goldust IC title victory over Razor Ramon. Every match on the show fell below what would have been expected out of the match going in on paper. It was also another step in what appears to be the new direction: stiffer blows, higher risk matches, and a general lack of psychology and focus to the matches of the WWF. The show began with a disclaimer saying that due to the graphic nature of the show, that parental discretion is advised, and then it went right into a shot of Sunny in a bathtub. So I sort of alluded to that earlier, that she was on the open of the show. I guess I didn't realize this is the first time maybe that happened. Do you remember there being sort of a paradigm shift in January of 96 of, okay, new year, new me type of thing? Because it does feel like with the tweener character and some of the Goldust stuff and the disclaimer with Sunny, the middle finger, maybe we're trying some stuff.
Yeah. And, it was attitude, and it was before we even got to the attitude era, but it was trying to do something different and get out there with it and change the way that we had traditionally done a lot of the business.
I think you've told us this story before, but I don't know if it's the same scene. Is that disclaimer that plays at the front of the show where Sunny's saying parental discretion is advised? Was that shot in your tub?
No.
That was a different shoot.
That was a different shoot. No, Sunny never made it into my tub ever.
There was heat with someone in your house and her, right?
She never made it into my tub ever.
Okay, so
no, they actually spent Chris and Sunny actually spent the night at my house all night.
Well, who did somebody in your house not like?
No, it wasn't that they didn't like them. It was just that they didn't
had an attitude.
No, well, no, okay. It was a different shoot.
We'll move on. Meltzer would also say the show was more violent than the past WWF standards, mainly with foreign objects being used liberally, which had recently been a no-no, although no blood. For the most part, the work rate was below the level of most of the shows in 95, although the matches had more high-risk moves. Although the crowd appeared dead on television, it was said to be live. It was just poor crowd miking, and they were pretty hyped up about this. How big of a deal is that for your live presentation, crowd miking? Me and you've never really talked about that before. Of course, these days, I think we're just playing loops on a video game because we're in the pandemic era and it is what it is. In years past, WCW used to sweeten the crowd noise, I think is the technical term. But if you don't have the crowd mic'd, it can really take the viewer out of it at home because it almost becomes monkey see, monkey do, like a mirror effect. If they're into it, we're into it, right?
Well, it helps for any time. And if you can visually see the audience involved in something and having a good time and being excited about it, you're going to be excited about it no matter what you're doing. So I didn't really notice. Maybe the expertise of the guy making that critique with all the television shows that he's produced and the hot crowds that he's produced at every single one of the shows he's ever promoted indoor. But wait a minute, God damn it. I thought they were into it. I think that I thought they were good, actually.
Let's do some questions here. Oh, before we do, I want to mention, Dr. Jeffrey Unger did an interview saying Shawn Michaels was 100% fine and fully recovered. A few weeks earlier in the angle, he was saying Michaels shouldn't ever return to pro wrestling. Michaels, in his own interview announcing his return, said he was doing so against the wishes of his doctor. In hindsight, was that a little misstep in continuity?
Probably so. Yeah. Shit happens.
Since we're talking about hindsight, this is the era, this is the month where you guys start doing all the Huckster and Nacho Man, Billionaire Ted shit. If you had it to do over again, you think you would have done that?
I'd have done it stronger.
Recently, I saw when I was watching a Raw from this month, unbelievably, you closed the show with a Huckster, Nacho Man, Billionaire Ted press conference skit. That was the last thing on the show. Not a main event, not wrestling, actors pretending to be people on another channel. And once it was over, there was a nice little voiceover from Vince that said this advertisement was refused by the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, but another advertisement will run this Wednesday in the New York Times financial section. And the gist was, it was like an artist rendering, almost like a courthouse sketch of Ted Turner. And he's asking people of Time Warner, hey, where's that $40 million loss on Turner's books? Beware, stockholders. Do you remember Vince taking out ads and papers going after Ted like that? That just shocked the hell out of me.
Well, it was a very, it was a very competitive time, and there were just a lot of things going on with the aggressive nature of them going after our talent and different things like that, different time, different place. And the company was in a completely different place. So you do everything that you can to survive at times.
Let's talk about Jake Roberts. Meltzer would say, with the exception of Shawn, it's Jake who gets the biggest crowd reaction. Fans are chanting DDT during the Rumble. Obviously, he's not the Jake of old here, but we know he's going to be around even later this year when the whole Austin 316 thing pops off that summer. Did you have high hopes for Jake coming out of the Rumble, just seeing the crowd reaction? Because that has to catch you off guard, right?
No, actually no, because I think that Jake Roberts was one of those iconic characters that the audience would love to see. So, coming out of that, this was the next year where we were looking at, hey, maybe we want to use Jake in the office and try to pick his brain and utilize him in that way.
One last thing. I know we've talked about Vader before. I think it's probably the start of when you and I started to take the show seriously. So go back and find it in the archives at somethingtowrestle.com. But the next night on Raw is where he attacks Gorilla Monsoon. Monsoon does the stretcher job. Vader is suspended. I think the story is, in real life, Vader needed shoulder surgery following an injury he had at that outdoor Bash at the Beach match against Hulk Hogan. But it's reported at the time in the Observer that Vader had not yet signed his contract. That can't be real, right? You wouldn't put him on the Rumble and Raw without having him sign a contract.
I think we were there. As far as everybody agreeing on things, and sometimes, agents and lawyers and things of that nature can fuck shit up. I think that was all it was. I think talent was on board and just an agent and manager that, it wasn't something that was commonplace in the business at the time. A little more commonplace these days.
Well, boys and girls, that's going to do it. We're going to put a bow on Royal Rumble 1996, and we greatly appreciate you joining us here on January 29th. And we hope that everyone enjoys the Super Bowl coming up next week. No, seriously, we'll be back next week. We're adjusting our schedule just a little bit. We're going to try to record the main event from February 1st, 1991 as a bonus episode for adfreeshows.com. Our February 12th episode, the one that was supposed to air today, was In Your House 6. And that's what we're going to bring you coming up here next week. In Your House 6 is a super fun, at least for me, show to talk about.
Wait a minute. We're doing these weekly?
Yeah, well, that's what we're trying to do, bud. And that's actually closer because we're going to be covering the show on the 19th, and it actually aired on the 18th, but it's the follow-up from the show we just watched. So in the main event, it's a cage match with Bret Hart and Diesel. Underneath, we've got Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart. We've also got action with Yokozuna and the British Bulldog. Hunter Hearst Helmsley working with Duke Drose. And the 1-2-3 Kid working with Razor Ramon. That's all coming your way next week. It's called In Your House 6 Rage in the Cage from Louisville, Kentucky. So Corny was probably happy. He didn't have to get on a plane for that one. He could just ride up the road, right?
Except he lived in Connecticut.
Oh shit. He's home and he's still got to fly. What a rib.
Yeah. Goddamn motherfucker.
Well, Bruce, we're like on time. We're dropping a show on Friday. I don't know what the fuck's going on around here.
What the fuck?
Do you want to, say something to your audience who's been waiting patiently for new content and they got it?
Thank you. And I love you all still. I'm not reading Twitter anymore. I'm not reading texts anymore.
You're reading texts. You're reading texts. You did. No. I did have you delete Twitter off your phone though.
You did.
How's your life been without Twitter?
You know, here's the thing. I stopped looking at Twitter. I stopped looking at investments. I stopped looking at my bank account. I basically just set everything up for just auto pay. I stopped all the shit thinking I would actually have more time. And that hasn't worked for shit, Conrad. Well, however, I don't have the negativity except when people put me on a 3-way chat and text me all night during meetings with negative bullshit.
Doot, Nabes. How random was that he just now listened to our episode on him?
Well,
it's 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, that says a lot. Imagine if he actually listened to it, not just heard it.
I don't like the way you fucking use your tone to me. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me, boy.
Yeah, okay.
Come on, Bruce, be in a good mood. I know you're hurting and you're sleepy and you're tired and you're stressed. Come on, man. I'm
stressed, I'm sleepy, and I'm tired. Isn't that? I think that was the order.
How far away are we right now from some sleepy time water? What's that shit you use? Dream water?
Dream water.
So how far away are we from that?
Right now, really and truly, about an hour and a half.
It's 6 o'clock. You're going to go to bed at 7:30.
No, it's 7 o'clock where I am.
Okay. So you're going to bed at 8:30.
Oh God. I'm going to take my sleepy time water then. That doesn't mean I'll go to bed. I actually got home at whatever god awful time I got home in the morning.
Like 2 or 3, right? I took
my sleepy time medicine, and then I woke my daughter up to play Wii golf.
Tell everybody what time you got home.
2:30.
And so you, in the middle of the night, woke your college-age daughter up to play Wii golf.
Yes.
Why didn't you text me?
Because the Wii thing is in her room.
And you wanted to play golf.
Yeah, it's a quick 9 holes.
You know, we could have recorded this show last night.
It was 12 minutes.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that's it, boys and girls. We'll be back next week. In Your House 6, Rage in the Cage, coming your way right here on Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard.
Rock on. I love you all.
Except for you guys on Twitter. He doesn't see you anymore. Goodbye. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.